Kia ora koutou, no mai haere mai, and welcome to Frogs on Friday. On today's show, we're going to go through Mahi Media, and today we're talking about some key labour market stats that were released this week. We'll go through some of our hot jobs, both in New Zealand and across the world. And I am joined by Scott Bannister, one of our temporary consultants in the Auckland team, talking about why you might want to choose a temp job this year. Okay, so, and of course, we'll finish off with the social media polls. So let's get started and go into Mahi Media. All right, so it was a big week of numbers this week with the official unemployment rate coming out, along with some general employment stats. So as many had tipped, the unemployment rate remained steady. So it was unchanged at 3.4%. We saw increases in the labour force participation and employment rates to 72% and 69.5%. There was also some good news for women. So there are now more women in the workplace than ever, with the labour force participation rate of 67.7. And why not have some more good news? And this one's overall. So wages continued to rise, with the labour cost index increasing to 4.3%. Now, I always find a good stat to compare with the CPI or Consumer Price Index, which is sitting at 6.7%. It might be a hard one to say. It's a bit of a mouthful, but it's a good one to get a good balance between where those two sit. Is the average ordinary time hourly earnings. See, I told you it was a mouthful. So that rose to 7.6%. So again, comparing that to CPI at 6.7. Now, it's not really a huge surprise. So wage growth usually does lag behind or take longer to see those increases behind inflation rates. But even as we start to get a grip on the inflation rates, and they start to settle and reduce, we're still likely to continue to see lifts in to the wage cost inflation as the demand for labour remains strong, of course. There's still those pressures of increased living costs, and employees go after better pay packets. So let's switch now and take a look at some of the hot jobs this week that may interest you.
Are you being paid the right salary? Are you paying your team the right salary? Are you meeting the expectations of the market to make sure you can get the best talent as part of your team? If you don't know the answer to those questions, you should get yourself a copy of the People to People and Frog Recruitment Market Report. Click on the link, request your copy, and we'll get one of our consultants to deliver it as soon as we can.
So let's take a look at some of the jobs in New Zealand, first of all. So we have a temp position, an office assistant based in Auckland. It's got a range for hourly rate 23 to 28, depending on experience. And this one's working within the insurance sector. So previous experience within that field would be a big advantage. For this one, if you're interested in this role or other temporary positions, get in touch with Isha in the Auckland team. Okay, and another one from Tamaki Makoto is a perm role, contact centre manager. This one is, okay, looks like an interesting one. Experience with Power BI or generative AI products. This must be in an interesting industry. For this, if you have contact centre management experience already and you're looking for a change, get in touch with Simi. Okay, let's look at some of our roles overseas as well. Okay, so first up, showcasing a role from our London team, a permanent position, HR manager, looking between 45 to 60,000 pounds. For this one, this is another one that Hannah is running from the London branch. Again, if you're interested in making the move over to London or the UK, get in touch with the team in Auckland or Wellington first of all, and we can put you in touch with Liz and Hannah and the rest of the team in the UK to jumpstart your career over there.
I am looking for a corporate receptionist to join one of Australia's largest corporate law firms here in Adelaide CBD. If you are experienced in reception, corporately presented, highly organised, have excellent communication skills both written and verbal, and you're client focused, then I want to hear from you. This is a full-time permanent role based in Adelaide CBD. Their offices are beautiful, sleek and modern, and the salary and employee benefits they offer are competitive with other corporate reception roles. Please read the finer details of the ad below and apply via the link or contact me on 08 8317 4803 for a confidential discussion. Thanks.
Okay, so welcome, Scott. Good to have you on the show today. Now, of course, Scott's one of our temporary consultants, so it's bound to be a little bit biased about why you should choose a temp role. But what have you got to convince us of the benefits of temping?
So I've had a quick look or delved into my previous experience with recruitment across in the UK and in New Zealand. So I've come up with 3 sort of bullet points on why I think recruitment's a good thing or temporary works. So there's a lot of flexibility involved around temporary recruitment, more so than if you had a full-time role, for example. So you've got more control over your schedule. If you want to balance out the work that you do with other commitments, caregiving, any sort of further educations you want to do, that's a good thing. It's also a good way to get into the industry. So you're gaining that experience in an industry which you haven't used before. So for example, someone who's got a lot of office experience but decides, you know what, I want to have a go in supply chain or warehousing. A lot of the temporary roles are aimed at the people who haven't quite got the experience where they are, so they can gain that experience. Also, there is the possibility, if you're between jobs at the time, there is the possibility of there being a permanent role there as well. So what you might think is a good temporary role could then lead from a good temporary role to a temporary permanent role. So you're gaining the experience, and then there's a full-time job at the end of it.
Yeah, excellent point. I know a lot of the time people don't think, and particularly or might not think of temporary roles if they haven't done it before. And particularly if there's that gap and they're thinking, oh, okay, I really want a permanent or another permanent role. But it's always handy at the very least to keep having some cash coming through and paying the bills in the meantime while you're looking for that. And who knows, it might turn into something more, or at least boost your CV. So some great tips there. Thanks for that, Scott.
My pleasure.
Alrighty, let's have a look at the polls. Okay, so we asked last week for those wanting to leave NZ and work abroad, why? What's most appealing? So the top 2 there, better salary and lower cost of living. So no real surprises there. And then I guess if you combine the 2, which usually are combined, it does make it hard to compete with some opportunities overseas. So I think really important to be able to look to see what you can get here. And again, you're in the best position to be able to go after what you're looking for or what you want in this kind of market still. Okay, let's see what we're asking this week. All right, so looking at going on from going after what you want. So what employee benefit is most important to you when searching for your next job? So is it flexibility, remuneration, L&D, or something completely different? Would love to hear what your thoughts are or what's going to make you decide if the next role is right for you. Well, that's it for the show today on a bit of a dreary Friday, but hopefully things pick up. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again next week. Ngā mihi nui.